Hello, everyone, and welcome to Interrupting Negative Thoughts and Creating Space for Possibility. It's a real delight to introduce you to Annika Wilby today. Annika is a social prescriber and she's a friend of Quiet Connections. So a few things before we hand over to Annika. So today's session is just for information purposes only. It's really not a substitute for working with a professional who knows your unique circumstances. You'll not be on camera or microphone, so you don't have to worry about that. Please use the chat box to share your thoughts and questions and any comments that you have. You'll find that on the right-hand side if you are on a laptop, and if you're on your phone, there will be a button that you have to press to get the chat box up. And finally, the session is being recorded, so you will get a replay, and anyone who's missed the session will also get a replay. If you have any questions, just pop them in the chat as we go through. Annika will also create some space at the end for you to ask any questions there. And without further ado, I'll introduce you to Annika.
My name's Annika, and it is a pleasure. I would just like to say I'm really sorry about the last time that you all came and my internet decided not to work. I'm so sorry. Internet, it's a pain. But yeah, so thank you for coming. I hope it helps. Affirmations have been great for me. And with that, I will sort of introduce myself a little bit. So I did my degree in human behavioural studies. I decided to do this at Truro and Penwith College because I quite liked that it was going to be smaller classrooms and that was much more tailored towards me and what my needs were. So that was quite nice. I enjoyed doing that. I now work as a social prescriber as part of Age UK. So just a quick what that is. Its main focus is helping people get into the community, find interests, engage with similar-minded people, and just really helping them just get involved and doing stuff that they enjoy. Should anyone want any more information about that, please do feel free to put that in at the end, and I'm happy to provide any information or let you know who your nearest social prescriber is. That is not an issue. So in regards of negative self-talk, I've been very guilty of this myself. It's very easy to be unkind to yourself, and that was something that I struggled with for a long time, and I still do, but I found that affirmations was something that was really helpful towards me, so I decided that I would base this little workshop on that. So affirmations, sorry about the noise. Affirmations is the act of confirming something to be true. So this can either be a written or an oral statement. So when I heard about affirmations, I thought it was a bit all wishy-washy, sort of telling yourself something and believing that it's going to be true and how much impact it could have on my mindset. So I was very much one of these people. I would have a lot of negative. I just was quite negative about things. It would be, I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And I can't was such a big part of how I would go into things. And it just wasn't good for me. I'd go, I'd be getting ready for something. I'd be like, I can't do this, I can't do that. And I'd turn up, I'd be nervous, I wouldn't want to be there. And I'd just give myself such a negative mindset. So I ended up getting into affirmations. And positive affirmations are positive phrases or statements that can be used to challenge negative and or unhelpful thoughts. So by changing to positive affirmations, I was changing my vocabulary, I was changing my mindset and my attitude. So I was changing it to I can, or I am learning, or I'm giving myself the opportunity. It was essentially becoming my own cheerleader, and I would speak to myself how I would speak to a friend, and just giving myself a little confidence boost. So instead of going, I can't do this, I don't deserve to do this, I'm going in with, this is a learning process, or I can do this, or I deserve to do this. So positive affirmations are really great. It's just changing from that I can't to I can. Okay. So, moving on. So there's a lot of research that has been done into affirmations, which has been really great, and there's lots of reading out there I'm not going to bombard you with that today. But I just thought it was quite nice to kind of go through some of the benefits of positive affirmations. So with positive affirmations, it can, as you can see on the screen, it can really help with motivation. So, you know, it's that I can attitude, it's manifesting positivity, and it, you know, it can just kind of give you that uplift to give you that extra get up and go, which is quite nice. And self-esteem. So when you're working with affirmations, it can really get you to reflect on what your personal values are. And I'm sure you're aware of, you know, done work on values. And I know that Quiet Connections put a post around values earlier this week, I believe, which is quite nice as well. I thought that tied in quite nicely. And it can also help with looking at sort of your self-identity as well. So it's looking at how you want to see yourself, how you want people to perceive you. And it's by giving yourself a good little pep talk. Again, so there's positive self-talk. So again, that's kindness. It can help improve kindness, improve your confidence, productivity. So that, again, that's going back to motivation, getting tasks done that you need to, and just kind of giving yourself, again, that little bit extra to go. So there's emotions as well. So managing our emotions. Hello, welcome. So with emotions, it's looking at our well-being as well. So I found that I was really improving and looking at my well-being as well when I was doing my affirmations, because I was telling myself, okay, if I'm going to be struggling with something, what can I do as well? And I was really looking at what I needed as well, and not doing what I thought somebody else needed me to do, if that makes sense. And also, I think it's been quite good for my health as well, because I've been feeling more motivated to do stuff. I've been going for walks more. I've been going roller skating. It's just, I've found it's been quite beneficial for me. But yeah, so there's also with our thought patterns as well. So it's challenging subconscious thought patterns. So like I said earlier, I was very much going with this I can't attitude. And that was I was doing it without even realising. If I was doing something and I was feeling anxious, without realising, my head was going, I can't. And I didn't realise that there was such a process behind challenging that and changing it. So I'm going to go through that a little bit. So, cognitive distortions. So I'm not going to go too much into this, but I just kind of wanted to give you a bit of a brief overview towards some of it. So cognitive distortions has been researched. One of the main researchers has been a gentleman called David Burns. And what he wanted to focus on was between depression, cognitive distortions, identifying them, and then attempting, I don't want to use the word correcting, but then changing them and then replacing them. So these are 3 cognitive distortions that came from Burns's Feel Good Handbook, which was published around 1989, I believe. And what cognitive distortions are, is they are a pattern or sort of a system of thoughts that we experience on a day-to-day basis. So distortions, they can be false and inaccurate, and they can sort of fuel any anxiety or depression that we may be feeling about something. So essentially, we're setting up a negative thought pattern. In total, he identified 11 types of distortions. I'm just going to focus on 3 because, again, I didn't think going through all of them. So I picked 3 that I found that I did, and within my role, I felt other people were quite regularly doing. So the first one I wanted to talk about was the all or nothing distortion. So with all or nothing, it is you are getting ready and going into something with, this is either going to be perfect, it's all going to go great, it's going to be wonderful, nothing can go wrong, or there's going to be the other hand where it's a total failure, nothing's going to go right, this is going to be an upright disaster. So there is no middle ground, and you're not seeing that sort of grey area in between. So we're setting ourselves up essentially with some unexpected and unrealistic expectations. which can just, it's not good for us, because again, it's leading to us being unkind to ourselves. So with the next one is overgeneralization. So this is where, and I hope this makes sense, you take one or two instances and you generalize it to everything that's related to that. So for example, if you do a test and you wanted to get a B and you get a C, you then think that you're no good at that subject anymore, you aren't smart, you don't know anything, and then you associate that negative that you get in that C and how you felt about getting that C as you associate it with your environment, where you took that test, how you feel about that subject, and how you feel about yourself. So you just generalize it to everything to do with that subject, and again, it's that being unkind to yourself because you didn't get what you want. Hopefully everyone followed that. If you don't, please feel free to put in if it doesn't make sense, and I will try and make it a bit clearer. And then there is also the last one that I wanted to talk about, which was mental filters. So with mental filters, again, it is quite similar to, lovely, thank you, to overgeneralization, but this is focusing on a negative that is happening. So say you've made a new friend, you've been talking for 6 months, and all you've had is positive conversations, it's all been really lovely. And then one day they say something to you that you take as a negative towards yourself, for example, and all you focus on is what this person has said to you that's not a positive, and you instantly start thinking, this friendship's over, this friendship, they don't like me, and you ignore the last 6 months, and it's becoming quite fixated on what has happened in that one comment. Yeah. So it's just really focusing on that when we don't want to do that. We want to remember all the nice things that's happened in the last 6 months, not just the one small comment that they've made, because it might not be anything. And it's, again, it's easy for our minds to go, oh gosh, panic, essentially. So yeah, so that's kind of what distortions are. It's just how our brain can essentially sort of trick us or convince us or talk about things, really. Should you want any more on that, I can sort of put a link afterwards on what other distortions are, should anybody want that. And if anyone's got any questions about these three, I'll just give you a minute to sort of ask any questions. So I'll just give you a break to sort that.
I think my big one was that cause and effect one, where I was kind of like more into the victim thinking and feeling like I was totally powerless. And when something happened, I thought that I had no way to deal with it or no way to affect change. So, for example, I was kind of being bullied at work, and my reaction was to go into like a real victim kind of mode and just withdraw and stay away from her. And it wasn't until years later, when I was training to be a coach, that I was looking back at that situation going, all the way that I reacted actually really made a difference to the way that she reacted too. So we were kind of bouncing off each other and just spiraling.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. But yeah, so it's kind of looking at that, that's great. And I know you'll do that within Quiet Connections as well. It's looking at those thought patterns, this as well. So I'm going to move on to the next part. Sorry, my computer's... Sorry, has that moved on for you? Okay. Sorry. Oh, here we go. Sorry, technology is not on my side with this. I'm so sorry. So I wanted to have a look into cognitive reframing. I would just like to remind everyone, I'm not a CBT therapist. This is just off research that I've done, and that this is just a tool that can be used within cognitive reframing. But I thought it was quite nice just to tie it in with this, just to give a bit more background and just looking at how we can go about it. So as I said, cognitive reframing is a CBT tool that is used to reduce stress and create helpful and positive thoughts, patterns, habits, and attitudes. So its main focus is around working on recognizing, challenging, altering, and replacing negative and irrational thoughts. I must admit, it was harder than I thought it was going to be. So, and it's only in 4 steps, but I was quite surprised at the journey I went on with it. But it was also quite a nice reflection I found as well. So I'm kind of going to go through this just a little bit for you. So obviously the first step is recognize. So recognizing was actually one of the most challenging bits I found, actually. So when it's picking up every time I'm giving myself these negative thought patterns, or is telling myself something negative, is catching myself and recognizing what I'm saying. Is that helpful for me, and how is this going to make me feel? And when I did start recognizing it, it was surprising how much I was telling myself these negative things, and how I was jumping to, this is either going to go brilliant or this is going to go terribly, or they've said something that might have upset me, and now everything is coming crashing down. It does surprise you. So after you start recognizing it, it is then challenging that. So what do I need to do, and what can I tell myself instead? And I wanted to change how I was thinking and how I was going into these situations, and I wanted to change my thought process, and I wanted to work on that with myself, because it was important, because like I said, it's going into things with this negative preconception. So with challenging it, you've recognized it and you're going, actually, I want to change this. I want to change how I go into things. So that's when you start looking at altering. So by altering, you can look at the situation. So you've had this thought, so I'll use the example, I can't. You've gone, I can't do this. And then you've gone, actually, I want to change how I think about this. So then you start altering this. And you can break it down. So you can look at the situation. So what led me to think I can't do this? And then what was your immediate thought after this? So what were you thinking? What carried on from the I can't? And what emotions came with it? How was I feeling? How were you feeling? And then what was my response? Did I shut down? Did I carry on anyways? What did I do? Did I let my negative thought then tell me I can't do this? So then I was going, I'm not going to. So by altering it, it is going, actually, I want to have a more adaptive response. I want to have a response that would be better and that might help me go into these situations, for example, with a bit more confidence, or I feel a bit calmer, and just seeing what works best for you to get through this, if you're going to something. So that's when you start replacing it. So with replacing it, you want to make it, the great thing about it is you can make it tailored to you. So it needs to be beneficial, and you need to make, and I know it's easy, but making it realistic for you, and make it kind. And if it's to be your own cheerleader and say that I can do this, or I'm learning to, if it's, I don't know, it could be anything you want it to be, but it's making sure and focusing on that positive affirmation, that's the important part. So it's what's helping us move forward. And again, it can go back to the benefits of affirmations. So if you're going to an event or something, it is, do I want to be confident? Is it improve my self-esteem? Or is it telling myself something that will help me manage my emotions when I get there? So that's the great thing, like I said, I know I keep saying it, but that's the great thing about affirmations, is it's something that works for you and what you can tell yourself to get ready to go. So with recognizing, I found that kind of making a note of when I was doing it, I know that may sound a bit odd, but if I'm telling myself I can't, stopping myself and going, I'm going to make a note of that. And again, I was writing down what the situation was, what my thought was, how I felt emotionally, and my response. So it's going back to that sort of stage and altering, and then so I found that tied in quite nicely. And it is just a practice, really. It's like I said, I found by writing it, I'd put it down, and it was surprising how many times I'd catch myself writing it in a day. But yeah, it is one of those things. It's stopping yourself when you think, like, I'll go back to the I can't, going, I can't. And when I hear the word I can't in my head or I say out loud, it's stopping myself. And I think if you have those particular words or those phrases that you use, it's stopping yourself, or just learning to catch yourself with it, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's just such how it is for everybody, but I do recommend sort of writing it down. That was really helpful for me. I hope that answers your question. Does anybody else have any sort of questions around sort of, if I put it back, hopefully that's worked. If anyone has any questions with it, feel free. Again, I'll give you a minute should you have any. But yeah, it's just a learning curve and a learning process, really. It's taken time to get to where I am, and it's taken practice. I'm not saying I'm not perfect by any stretch, but it's like I said, I didn't realise how much I used those two words. It's not a good word for me, so I'm working on changing it. Okay. So sorry, I need to move. Oh, there we go. Right, has that come up on everyone's screen? Okay, wonderful. So I just kind of wanted to make a small example of looking at making affirmations. So like I says, it can be applied to anything. I just wanted to make something that was quite simple. And then also I kind of wanted to work on reframing it as well. So for example, if in a day I felt tired, I can end up telling myself I'm lazy. So you're then telling yourself that when you're tired, that you're lazy. There's nothing looking into what may have led you to feeling tired, and there's nothing around your self-care. There's just nothing. It is just very much, I'm tired, I must be lazy, which again is something that can be easy to do. So it's looking at reframing that. So reframing it's brilliant. It's changing the way that we are looking at something and trying to overcome it. So with the affirmations, I I like to put something positive at the end of it as well. So as you'll see with under the reframe bit, it is, if in a day I felt tired, I can remind myself that I deserve rest. So the affirmation I put in there is, I deserve rest, which is reminding yourself that you deserve rest. You do things in the day. Our body sometimes needs a break. And it's giving myself sort of the okay and giving myself permission to go, actually, I am tired. I need to have a rest. And then sometimes you might just want to leave it at that. But sometimes you can just add that little extra bit on as well and say, if in the day I felt tired, I can remind myself that I deserve rest. And then I will meditate. And again, I found meditation's a lovely sort of way for me to add affirmations. It's great, I can tell myself these nice positive things, and it can leave me feeling quite refreshed afterwards as well, and it can leave me feeling quite nice and energized. But again, you can kind of put whatever you want at the end, so it doesn't have to be, this is just an example. But it is again, I found writing was brilliant. So I'm trying to think of one that I've done for myself. So I felt like I can't do something, and then I tell myself it's because I'm not smart enough to do something. And so it's changing it to, I can do something, I'm still learning to do it. And then, accepting that, no one knows anything off by heart. You've got to learn, you've got to take that time, and then going, okay, do I want to learn more about it eventually? And I found sort of breaking it down and using a sort of similar framework to this has been really good. So I kind of just wanted to give everyone just a little bit of time to have a think if there's anything that they could use or any examples they might want to share of, like tired with lazy. They've put those associations together and not focused on that sort of self-care sort of side. So, and again, if anyone has any sort of questions around this, please feel free to put that in. I also found that this is quite a nice way for us to sort of look and be kind to ourselves and look into self-care, which is lovely, because self-care is always important. Okay, sorry, I'm just reading that one from Stacey that she's kindly put through there. Thank you. Are you happy for me to read this out? I know everyone can see it, but are you happy for me to read this one out? So Stacey's put in, if in the day I felt anxious, I can end up telling myself I am broken. And to reframe that, Stacey has now put, if in the day I felt anxious, I can remind myself that anxiety is a feeling we all experience, then I will do some breathing. So that's a really fantastic thing to, to put in. She's got the put an affirmation in there that anxiety is a feeling we all experience. And then she has done some self-care afterwards and will do some breathing as something that's helping her manage herself when she is experiencing that anxiety, which is really great, and it's identifying, which is fantastic. That's really good. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to read this one. Again, are you happy for me to read this one out? Yep. So Hayley's going to put in, if in the day I have felt like I've made a mistake, I can end up telling myself I'm stupid and useless. And to reframe, she's put, I can remind myself that no one is perfect, we all make mistakes, and this is how we learn. I can practice self-compassion and breath work. So again, that's fantastic. They've identified that when they've made a mistake, that they aren't stupid and useless, that no one is perfect, we all make mistakes, we're all human. And then again, they've done some self-care there and done something to help themselves in that situation, which is practicing some self-compassion and some breath work. So we've got some other lovely examples in there of how just reframing and just putting on an action can help sort of change how we look at something, and that using that affirmation as well can be quite a nice little step. So even if we just leave it at I can remind myself that anxiety is a feeling we all experience, or that no one is perfect and we all make mistakes, that is still changing that thought pattern and putting something positive in there, rather than just I've made a mistake, I'm no good, or I have anxiety, I'm broken, which is really lovely. So hopefully everyone can, at least have a think about it and just think, if they've had an example that they feel, even if you don't wish to share it, it's been something positive. Okay. So, I've just put in there some positive affirmations that I've quite liked and some that I found have been helpful for me, and then I've just put some extra ones in there that I know people can find beneficial. There are lots of great apps out there as well. I've personally got one on my phone called I Am, and it just sends, I think you can set a time on it, so I think I get one every 3 hours, and it'll just give me a nice affirmation to remind me throughout the day. You can customize it, which is always lovely. But even if you go online, there's lots of positive affirmations available. I quite like to use them before I go to an event. Again, if I catch myself saying I can't, or if I'm doing something that I know might give me a bit of anxiety, or even when I wake up in the morning, I found they're quite helpful. I just find they're absolutely fantastic, and I find writing them out is great. I'm very, very big on journaling and writing things down. But yeah, just writing them down. Like, I've got a little notebook, I'll just put one in, or if I find something I thought was quite nice, I'll journal it down. They can be really wonderful, and it's just finding ones that work for you. There's so many out there, and like I said, they can just be tailored to what you want and what you need to tell yourself. So they're really, really great, and it's just reminding yourself again, like a couple of times of the day, can be really helpful as well. Going, okay, it's 5 o'clock, I'm going to tell myself I've done well today, and I've done the best I could, which has been really nice. Yep, and there's some lovely ones from Stacey there. I don't know if anyone's got any that they like from the screen that they might want to share that they like, or if they've got any that they've got that they might do without even realising. Any affirmations? Yep, so Haley's just put some in. So again, so I am powerful, flexible, and I choose my emotions. Yep, there's some really great ones. And hopefully, you know how they make you feel, so you know when to tell yourself these affirmations, because it's recognizing how they make you feel and the situation and the emotional response that comes with it. And I am open and trusting. That is such a lovely one. That one's really nice. So again, you're giving yourself and you're allowing yourself to be open and to be trusting, which is wonderful. That's really great. I am becoming. Yep, that's really good. And again, you can adapt that to however you want as well. Should you choose to add something to the end of that, that's really wonderful. So, you know, everyone's got such lovely ones that you can put there. It's really lovely. Yeah, so unfortunately mine has run shorter than I expected it to, but I would just like to thank everybody who has come up, and I hope it has made sense. This is my first workshop that I've done. So yeah, so if anyone's got any questions or they would like me to kind of explain any bits any further, please feel free to put in the comments below. Or if there's any questions that might pop up, I'm sure either Hayley or Stacey will pass those on to me.
That was really wonderful, Annika.
Thank you. But no, sort of giving me the space, allowing me to sort of put out there what's been really helpful for me. Hopefully, even if some of it's just been a bit helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Was there any affirmations that you used before you started the workshop?
Yes. So I was using I am, it's okay. Just telling myself it's okay. And this is my first time doing this and being kind to myself and just telling myself it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be okay. I think, yeah, it's okay. It's going to be okay. And it's been okay. You know, I came in, I was nervous. I would very much hold my hands up and say I was very nervous about this. But I'm here and I did it. And it was pushing myself because I was like, I've been asked to do this. You know, Hayley and Stacey, they believed in me enough to do it. So I gave myself permission to do something that terrifies the life out of me. So I used my affirmations to get here. It's amazing what they can do. Oh, Victoria. Oh, thank you, Tommy. And sorry, the thing's just pinged away. That's really lovely what you've just put in there, Victoria. You're just going to quickly read that one out. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done. Just tackle the thing that cannot be done and you'll do it. I like that one. That's really lovely. If you don't mind, if I could get that sent to me as well, that'd be really lovely. But thank you for sharing that. That's really wonderful. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my workshop. I'm sorry it ran a bit shorter, but hopefully you can take something away from it. This has been a great learning experience for me, and thank you for allowing me to share this.
Thank you, Annika. And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So I can give my email address if you want me to put it in the chat box now, or if you want me to give that to you separately. Either's fine. So I will stick my email in, and then if it gets lost, I'm sure it can get picked up somewhere. Okay, so there's my email in there for anybody who wants it, who may have a few more questions. That can be around affirmations or, as I mentioned, around social prescribing at the beginning.
Thank you so much for your time and for putting together this lovely workshop. I think it's been really, really useful. And I'm definitely going to spend the next few minutes thinking about my affirmations for the week ahead.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for having me. Everyone who turned up. I'm just sorry it didn't happen. I was supposed to, but we got there.
Yeah, thank you everyone for bearing with the technical difficulties last time, and thank you for showing up again tonight and giving us your time. It's been so lovely to spend the evening with you all, and again, thank you, Annika, for stretching your comfort zone with us.
It's actually been good. I've enjoyed it.
I'm so glad. Okay. You'll all be redirected now to the quiet community, so you can join if you haven't already joined us there. And Annika is also in the community if you ever want to just send her a message and connect. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
All right, have a good evening, everyone.